Biden's fate is on the line in the most critical days of his 50-year political career. The high-stakes week ahead is critical to whether President Joe Biden's defiance will save his re-election bid or whether Democrats who question his capacity to serve a second term will succeed in pressuring him to step aside. While only a handful of House Democrats have publicly called for the president to end his campaign, there is deep disquiet inside the party at the possibility that Biden, who swept Donald Trump out of the White House 4 years ago, could ruin his legacy and throw the country into uncharted political territory by failing to deter voters from sending his rival back in the Oval Office after November's election. Democratic anxiety reverberated through a call that House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries hosted for his conference Sunday afternoon. Some members said Biden should go, and there's a consensus among dozens of party lawmakers that he needs to step aside, sources told CNN. But a meeting that Senator Mark Warner planned for Monday to consider the president's future is now scrapped, and the Virginia Democrat has not decided whether he thinks Biden should step aside, a source said. Several key party heavyweights said on Sunday Morning News shows that the president needs to do far more to ease skepticism among voters. I think this week is going to be really critical for him to answer those remaining questions, Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy said on CNN's State of the Union. The president nevertheless insisted in a campaign swing through battleground Pennsylvania on Sunday that "I'm up for the job." Biden reinforced his refusal to cede the Democratic nomination he earned through a largely unopposed primary run in a high-stakes interview with ABC News on Friday, warning only the Lord Almighty could compel him to end his campaign. But the interview only reinforced Democrats' panic that followed his devastating debate performance last month over his chances of beating Republican presumptive nominee Trump. The interview also raised further questions over Biden's health as he seeks a new term that would end when he is 86 and over whether he understands the gravity of his political plight as he trails Trump in polls. The turmoil surrounding Biden's future is creating a grim mood inside the White House, CNN's MJ Lee reported. West Wing staffers are rattled by the president's debate performance and the coverage of the president's subsequent struggles, although support for his re-election bid remains strong in the building. A moment of soul-searching for the Democratic Party. Among the key questions now is whether a critical mass of lawmakers will unite to try to convince the president to stand aside. Asterisk, if that happens, would senior party leaders be willing to go to the president and argue that his position is unsustainable? Asterisk, and even if they did, would Biden, who has earned the votes of millions of Democrats to secure the nomination and who maintains he is fully fit to serve a new term, agree to seat his campaign? Asterisk, if the president remained odds-on at this point, Democrats would face a decision on whether to go public about their views, and many in critical states and districts would have to consider distancing themselves from their own party's presidential nominee to try to save themselves in November. There is an almost surreal quality to the frenzied political debate as Biden digs in. It would be an extraordinary twist to an already remarkable year in which Republicans will nominate a convicted felon and twice impeach former president if Democrats decline at the last minute to nominate a sitting president who most believe has had a successful term over concerns that he can't win. Passing on Biden would also mark a humiliating coda to a political career that has spanned half a century, and the president would likely regard himself as the victim of scathing betrayal. If Democrats do push him aside, they create a high-risk scenario unprecedented in modern history. They'd have to decide whether to rally around Vice President Kamala Harris, which has already begun in some quarters, or whether to stage a lightning process to pick an unvetted neophyte new nominee. There would be no guarantee that a new standard-bearer would do better than Biden, who has already beaten Trump once. But the fact many want to try shows the intensity of alarm in the party and the potency of the image of an aged and sometimes incoherent president blazed on the minds of 50 million television viewers at the CNN debate in Atlanta. In a worrying sign for Biden, even senior party figures who are normally supportive and laud the achievements of his term argue that he must do far more to convince voters that he is up to the demands of the presidency.